Fucking broke, what the fuck is broke? Done fucked around and forgot the damn feeling. Then got the feeling back for you lames that lost control of the game. When the truth made its way through the building. Yeah, chilling with bad bitches, rolling it up.
Lesson on the beat. Sway. Banger. I'm amped up for this tango. Now you see where that chain go. Chain gang with that mainframe for my main thing like Django. Bout a nigga like Shango. Old school with that Kango. Right hand on my buckle, bitch. Left hand, hang low. Whip part, but it swang though. Do you know what that 6P do?
Greetings, fight fans. DMV, what is going on? Greetings, everyone. We are back in our regular seats after a temporary reassignment last week.
Are we?
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? You are, of course, at DMVCS, and you are in the Clinch.
In the Clinch.
We are, of course, stateside, Washington, D.C., in the studios, the WLVS studio. You are watching us on listenvisionlive.com. And, of course, we are worldwide on listenvisionlive.com. DMVCS in the Clinch. Of course, it's your boy, Lesson. The man, Manny Z, to my right. To your left, of course. We are back once again, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for taking a little bit of time on your Sunday evening with us here. Of course, man, you guys can follow us on Twitter at DMVCS. That's at DMVCS. And then also on Instagram at DMVCS numero dos, or number 2, the number 2. Marque dos, exactly. So, follow us there, man. We always follow back. We're team follow back. And we like to hear from you every once in a while. But, of course, it's another Sunday of combat sports, Manny.
No doubt about it.
Big Sunday of combat sports, and we are heading right now, UFC Fight Night 37 in London last week, heading into the countdown for UFC 171, Hendricks versus Lawler.
And I can't wait, Seasons Beatings fight fans, because I know you can't wait for that pay-per-view, because I'll be the same exact way, cage side. It's time!
Yep. Shout out to Manny for the Bruce Buffer impersonation.
Thank
He'll
you.
be here all night, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, I will.
He'll be here all night.
I take tips.
But again, we want to give you guys a shout out. Thank you again for being here with us, man. A shout out, of course, to DJ Jordan K behind the controls.
Yeah,
of the
special
spaceship.
shout out to Jordan K on the wheels of steels.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. What up?
Making things happen. Well, we got a big show lined up later, tonight. Of course, we're going to recap UFC Fight Night 37 last night in London. We're going to look ahead to UFC 171 with Hendricks and Lawler. And we're also going to look at some of the news, of course, this week, which is where we start out every single night. Make sure that you're hitting us up on Twitter at DMVCS and on Instagram at DMVCS2. You can follow us on Facebook, DMVCS Radio. We're there posting news all day.
Just about.
Every day.
Nothing
Manny
but.
Z behind the controls of that, man. You can follow us there, man. Give our page a like, please. We appreciate it. But you know what? We're going to go ahead and start this off every week like we always do. We got to get the news out there.
So what's going on in the news, Lesson?
So I'll tell you what's going on in the news, Manny. This is what we got. First news item. Everybody heard a couple of weeks ago, of course, this was something straight out of the tabloid pages. Thiago Silva, former UFC fighter.
Yeah, that's right, former.
Has now been granted release on $25,000 bond.
Really now?
Yeah, Florida judge granted the release of former UFC light heavyweight Thiago Silva from the Broward Sheriff's Office Department of Detention, 1 month after a domestic altercation with his estranged wife ended in a police standoff and his arrest, his manager told MMA Junkie. Glenn Robinson of the Authentic Sports Management said the fighter was released on $25,000 bond following a hearing in Broward County, Florida court. He said, "I'm dealing with getting him out before the day's end," Robinson wrote via text message, "just working on the paperwork." Now, Robinson said he and several others, including UFC light heavyweight Rashad Evans and Fabiana Popovich, spoke on Silva's behalf during the hearing. Now, according to a report from a Florida NBC affiliate, Silva was ordered to stay away from his wife, Taisa Silva, who, according to the police report, was involved in a romantic relationship with Pablo Pacevich, who was a mixed martial arts trainer, I believe.
Yeah, but apparently he was training in something else.
Oh, yeah, he probably was. Probably had her in the clinch and on the ground.
Yeah. In serious side position in ground control.
In the guard.
Locked in.
Locked in the guard. Full guard, by the way.
I'm pretty sure.
Now, TMZ Sports also reported that Silva is under house arrest with an electronic monitor, and he's required to complete an anger management program and submit to random drug and alcohol testing. Gee, you think?
They're going to make a fighter submit to anger management?
No, this is Thiago Silva, Jordan.
That's madness.
Yeah, it's a lot of Silvas in mixed martial arts.
Yeah, it's a lot of Silvas. You might get
bit
confused with Van and Thiago and
there's
Anderson
a lot of Silvas, but
and Bigfoot, but yeah, this one had a gun.
Now Silva was initially charged with 2 counts of felony attempted murder stemming from a February 6th incident at the Pablo Popovich Mixed Martial Arts Academy in Oakland Park, Florida. Police said that Silva drove up to the academy where Tysa trains and threatened her and Pablo Popovich with a gun before fleeing to his home, where police followed and a standoff ensued. Silva eventually surrendered nonviolently to the police, and he was taken into custody. Now, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago when this happened, Manny.
Yes,
this is something straight out of the tabloids. It was almost like something out of an episode from Snap or Dateline ID or On the Case.
That's what I was expecting when I heard the story.
It was a good thing that he actually left and then went home and then surrendered, because this thing could have ended badly. Well, you have a guy that trains in mixed martial arts and someone who is known to beat people up for a living.
Yeah, he is.
And the type of adrenaline that runs through your body. And you have a weapon. The fact that you're confronting your now estranged wife and her trainer and supposed lover.
Remember, trainer.
Yeah, trainer and supposed lover. That thing could have ended very badly. But he's out. Of course, UFC terminated his contract a couple of weeks ago.
Well, they had no choice at that point because it was detriment to the company.
Yeah, and but he did have people will speak out for him on his behalf.
Well, yeah, he trains with the Black Zillion, so.
Yeah, so that's Thiago Silva out on $25,000 bond. Hopefully he doesn't do anything stupid to get himself thrown back in jail before the trial.
Hopefully not. Jeez.
So, of course, the globe-trotting of UFC continues after already being in London earlier on this year and now having events in Macau for the Tough China finale. The UFC is now heading further across seas. After the announcements earlier at shows in Germany in May and Ireland in July, the UFC will head to Sweden in October and then Turkey in November. A source with knowledge of the dates and locations confirmed them to MMA Junkie. This is, of course, courtesy of MMAJunkie.com. The source asked to remain anonymous because he was not yet authorized to speak publicly on the new events.
Yes, Dana wouldn't like that.
And not at all. He's a bit of a control freak when it comes to things like that.
The hell you say, Lesson. The hell you say.
The news was first reported, however, by Fighters Only, cited Gary Cook, the UFC's executive vice president and managing director of UFC Europe, Middle East, and Africa, or called EMEA. Cook revealed the dates and locations just 2 days ahead of the UFC's first of the 6 EMEA region cards planned for this year. UFC Fight Night, of course, 37 took place last night in London, and next month the promotion returns to Abu Dhabi on April 11th. Now, earlier today, May 31st show in Berlin was announced for the same day as the one in Brazil, as was an event in Dublin on July 19th. Now, the 6th event, EMEA year, will wrap up in Stockholm on October 4th and in Istanbul on November 22nd. Now, the UFC's been to Stockholm twice before.
Yes,
it, of course, is the home of Alexander Gustafsson.
The Mauler.
Of course. MMA's very big there, being as though he's one of the main stars, now probably the biggest mixed martial arts star coming out of Sweden.
Oh, yes, no question. His fight with John Jones still, to me, was the fight of 2013.
But a big move by UFC. We see them making moves across the globe. To me, it mirrors a lot of what the WWE did in the early, mid, and late 90s when they started reaching out to markets they had never been before. And the popularity in the sport grew to mammoth heights.
Very much so. And then, you broaden your fan base, and then people who've never seen a mixed martial art event or know anything about MMA, it's their first time engaging in something like that. So then, it becomes, a phenomenon.
Yeah, so we have Berlin right now, Abu Dhabi next month, and now Sweden and Turkey. I mean, that's huge to be able to tap into those markets. And you got to give UFC credit. I mean, they're reaching out beyond the borders, and this is going to pay off for them. Probably not right away, but we'll see the effects within a few years when the sport explodes in those places.
They're a multi-billion-dollar corporation.
Of course.
I think it's going to pay off, David.
It will pay off.
I believe so.
So, moving on, the next news item, we have another state that is now logged into the ban against TRT. We talked about this last week with the Nevada State Athletic Commission banning TRT last week. But now you can add California to that list.
All right,
commission officials today for the California State Athletic Commission today announced a move, which comes 1 week after the influential Nevada State Athletic Commission issued a ban and set the dominoes in motion for other regulatory bodies to follow suit. According to today's statement, the commission will soon require World Anti-Doping Agency standards to receive a TRT exemption. In turn, the commission believes such guidelines will create an effective ban on the controversial steroid hormone treatment.
Controversial?
Until those rules are enacted, though, no therapeutic use exemptions will not be granted in the state of California. The CSAC executive officer Andy Foster said this in a statement. He said, the California State Athletic Commission fully supports the Nevada Athletic Commission's decision to eliminate therapeutic use exemptions for testosterone replacement therapy in boxing and mixed martial arts. California is a strong supporter of anti-doping efforts. As a part of California's anti-doping efforts, the Commission recently began the rulemaking process to require meeting World Anti-Doping Agency standards, and so on and so forth. To this date, the UFC, MMA's biggest promotion, has held 18 events in the state of California, which annually hosts more events than any other U.S. state. The UFC most recent show came in December with UFC on Fox 9. Big.
Very big.
And in a state where they have more UFC events than anyone, this is going to affect a wide range of fighters, not just in UFC, but any MMA promotions.
Well, we discussed this on last week's show. That's why I said there's no more test tube fighters.
Yeah.
There's no more of you pulling your career out of a laboratory somewhere deep in the barrens or the deserts of California and thinking that I want to eke out these wins. And, yeah, they won't notice.
Yeah. And as DJ Jordan K says, Pacquiao.
Gee, I wonder what he meant by that.
Yeah, but no
Could
more.
It be Tiger's blood?
Yeah, but now we just have the two big the states in mixed martial arts in that arena as far as hosting events. Vegas has always been a big town, and now California, which has hosted events in Los Angeles and Oakland and San Francisco,
Sacramento, San Jose, where Strikeforce got started.
Yeah, San Jose. I mean, so this is going to be a big thing for UFC and the mixed martial arts promotions, and a lot of fighters are going to be affected by this as they were in Nevada. And now that Nevada and California follow suit, you can expect other states that hold MMA promotions, New Jersey, Texas, Florida, a few others, that we name many others, and as the rest of the world starts to clamp onto this, I think we'll see a significant number of fighters drop out of the game because of this.
Oh, I have no doubt in my mind about that they will drop out of the game, because you're talking about, once again, they're trying to either revive their career or they've on such a losing streak. I know I can turn this around. I'll just and that it's going to change everything. It's not.
No more test tubes, or as the late Robin Harris said, test tube, baby.
I believe it. Baby's Kids on VHS.
Exactly. So, moving on, and speaking more on TRT, we also have another statement with one of the poster childs of the sport, or at least the promotion. The poster child of the promotion of the sport, I should say, a.k.a. Frank Abagnale III, Chael Sonnen.
Chael Patrick Sonnen.
So Chael said, without TRT, I may have to stop the sport. He said this on a Wednesday's new edition of UFC Tonight. Sonnen said that if he can't find a suitable way to elevate his lagging testosterone to a normal level, he may not be able to continue competing in the octagon. So he said, if it doesn't work, I may have to stop the sport. Sonnen said, it's as simple as that. His comments were part of a discussion on the Nevada State Athletic Commission's recent decision to ban TRT in the state. Afterward, the UFC followed suit and said it will take a similar position on all the international events it oversees when a governing body isn't present. Now, Sonnen, who was previously granted a therapeutic use exemption for his own testosterone use, and said he and his team are still educating themselves on the new process and any potential alternatives. Now, until one can be found, he said his days in the cage could be quickly drawing to a close. He said the problem is it's a bit early, and I don't know myself if I have to sit down with my team, not only my management, and understand the rules, but we have to then talk with doctors to figure out your health.
Can I ask you guys a question real quick?
Yes.
Can you give me like an idea of what events led up to this, like, almost witch hunt?
Well, I think. Well, I'll let you go ahead, Manny.
Oh, I mean, that like I said, where do we begin with? I mean, because the whole thing became controversial. Chael started using it. Then Bigfoot Silva started using it after to revive his career.
Exactly.
Then Vitor Belfort, who had been banned from the sport for a while because he tested positive for steroids twice, started using TRT. he got caught with his hand in the cookie jar with it as well. So you just had all these fighters over time just coming up. Well, I need to have, my exempt. I need to have my exempt. I got to fight. And
then not only that, but guys like Alistair Overeem having elevated levels of testosterone in their blood
his
as well.
doctor testified in court and said that he did nothing wrong but go and sit on my table.
Sure. And and guys don't show up, and guys always show up as light heavyweights weighing, close to 205 pounds. Next thing you know, they're 245 in a matter of a couple of months. Sure they do.
Malarkey, Leslie.
Sure
that happened overnight because he was in the gym.
Sure you did. You just ate, and then you took and you drank protein shakes, and you lifted weights until sure you did. But that's the reason why. I mean, and a lot of guys have spoken out about it. Chris Weidman has been outspoken about it.
Absolutely.
George St. Pierre has been outspoken about it
too.
But because guys, you don't want guys to cheat. I mean, you want it to be a level playing field. It's like any performance-enhancing drug topic that you have in any other major sport.
Like Marion Jones with the clear?
I mean, track and field, baseball, football, you name it, whatever.
Oh, David Boston, when he was so roided out he couldn't move his arms?
David Boston, who was 200 pounds soaking wet.
Yeah, exactly.
Then he showed up looking like a tight end.
Running over linebackers and defensive linemen. I say, I never seen no wide out do that before.
Exactly. Well, and so, so just to close up with Chael, he just pretty much said, it's a matter of an athlete should not have to choose between sport or health. It should be a combination of both, which we understand. And if he has to step down, then he has to step down.
At 38 years old, he's not going to have another crack at the title.
I'll tell you what. As an MMA fighter, he's mediocre at best, but he's an excellent promoter.
Wow. Did you really discredit this man on the air? Yeah. Come on now, Leslie.
As a fighter, he's mediocre at best. As a big-time fighter, he's mediocre at best. I know this. As a big-time fighter, he's mediocre at best. In the big fights, what's happened? He's folded. He's gotten his tail beaten.
Well, I can't say folded. Because, more so he's been put neatly away like grandma's lid.
Yes, he has. He's been put neatly away.
Yeah, he's been put neatly away.
Now, granted, he had Anderson on the ground and had him on the ground for 4.5 rounds, and then he lost.
He laid and prayed.
So
he got choked out. That's not winning.
I hate watching that.
But he had him on the ground for 4.5 rounds, and
we saw when they had the rematch.
For 4 rounds. He had him. I mean, he had Anderson beat.
He had him beat. He had him lay and pray. So, but we saw what happened in the second fight. Come on, Jeff, hit me. And he was gone.
All right, so we're gonna look at our next news item. So, ex-UFC fighter Tyson Griffin has now called out light heavyweight champion of the world John Jones on Twitter as if he needed any more publicity.
But he fought at welterweight.
He said he can't figure out why John Jones doesn't want his next opponent to be Daniel Cormier, but his search for an answer has the UFC light heavyweight champ's attention. Griffin tweeted Jones saying, "If you're a real champ at Johnny Bones, you'd whoop at DC MMA and move on." And later added, "This 26-year-old at Johnny Bones thinks that the names on at DC MMA's record aren't top level. That's just disrespectful if you ask me." So. Griffin, who fought at featherweight, was a teammate of Cormier's at the famed American Kickboxing Academy.
Yeah, AKA.
And
shout out.
And also serves as a nutritionist. Then posted a series of alleged exchanges between he and Jones by way of screenshots via direct messages. Of course, if you want to get proof of anything, do screenshots. Why not?
Yeah, we live in the digital age, America.
It didn't happen. According to him, they were allegedly one-sided when Jones wrote him and then blocked him on the social media website. So he got the block of death.
Yeah, exactly.
You know somebody means business when they block you.
Oh, of course. I'll show you. I'll unfollow you and block you just this instant.
So Jones says, he said, thanks for the followers, read Jones' initial message. Whatever happened to you anyways? Wow.
Shots have been fired, and this young man has just gone in.
And you can imagine where things went from there. So Griffin, who most recently lost a TKO to Jay-Z Cavalcante under the World Series of Fighting banner, explained that he was on injury layoff and said he was tired of hearing fighters talk about who they don't want to fight.
I don't think an injury layoff suffers from you getting your ass beat in front of the whole world.
Tired of hearing about fighters talk about who they don't want to fight. He was referencing a recent interview Jones gave to Fox Sports where he responded to Cormier's recent request for a title shot and said he wasn't interested in the fight if successful over Glover Teixeira at UFC 172, which will be right here in Baltimore. Now, according to Griffin's screenshots, Jones did eventually respond to his initial tweet, writing, "First of all, I was never following you in the first place. Please don't flatter yourself. If you're looking for work, I could use a water boy."
And this is DMVCS reporting live from the scene, and that young man, John Boney Jones, has just gone in.
Oh, but it continues. In all sincerity, another message read, I appreciate the exposure you have given my Twitter page today. Can't wait to reach 1 million followers.
Shots have been fired.
Given a running commentary of the screenshots, Griffin quipped, kids these days, SMH, or shaking my head. Jones' rebuttal ended with, laughing out loud. You're like, OMG, John Jones is writing me. Hold on. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is the spinning back fist that KOs the fight.
Oh, my God.
This, ladies and gentlemen, is the spinning back fist or the John Jones elbow, which ends the fight. Clown, I have to go. Got a world title fight coming up. You wouldn't know much.
Yeah, I don't remember Tyson Griffin ever winning or contending for a world title.
Yeah. In that words, I guess he could take a line from the famous Sean Carter. You know, what's 50 grand to a motherfucker like me?
Yeah.
Will you please remind me?
Yes. He's all about dollars. Who the fuck is 50 Cent?
Exactly. What's a goon to a goblin, in the words of Dwayne Carter?
I believe so.
So, last news item as we have up, UFC 173 is going to take place on May 24th on the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas. The main card airs on pay-per-view on the prelims on Fox Sports 1 and then UFC Fight Pass. There will be a bout on that as the co-main event for former heavyweight champion of the world, Junior Dos Santos, to take on Stipe Miocic. Now, Miocic recently expressed his willingness to fight Dos Santos after the ex-champ respectfully called him out on an interview on MMA Junkie Radio. He said it would be a great fight. I would love it. As he said in an interview not too long afterwards, we have great styles for each other. I think it would be a hell of a fight, actually. Now, Miocic is 11-1 and 5-1 in the UFC, and he said he was flattered to even be considered by Dos Santos, who was moving on from the possibility of facing Alistair Overeem after, of course, Overeem said that a rib injury is keeping him from fighting.
But did he recover from the brutalization for which Cain Velasquez gave him?
Yeah.
I mean, that was just, oof. I just didn't think a man could bleed that much inside the octagon until I saw that fight. Right, got you.
So that's our news items for the week, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back in a little bit. We're going to take a break. Of course, DJ Jordan K do some things on the Wheel of Steel. We're going to come and we're going to recap the UFC Fight Night 37 and a big win for Alexander the Mauler Gustafsson and a chance to maybe the fight rematch against Johnny Bones Jones next week. Of course, it's your boy Lesson, the man Manny Z. We're here on WLVS Radio, ListenVisionLive.com. We'll be right back.
Right back.
Oh no. Slushin', yeah. Got time for the phone chair. Yo, but I ain't even on first. Yo, get him, dog.
Bruh, I'm a damn soldier. What you say to me is not interesting, so I move you to the spam folder. My clan's bolder, y'all rappers can't flow without your ghostwriter raps. As far skills, few hands colder. Plan to hit you with the Batman, you understand, Joker? I come to kill these animals. I'm a damn poacher on mics. You never been playing, forever you fame. Forever I'm ahead of the game. I never complain, I never took aim at lame two planes astray unless they come directly up in my shit. They get waves, I'm in the barber phase. Sit on my throne, you get a fade. Afterwards, I'm sitting while sipping on a glass of lemonade. This is my turf, I mean of course the music scene. By the way, I never gave a damn about your stupid jeans. To hell with the brand name and your champagne. Whack rappers giving MCs like us a bad name.
We on that old school 1-2 shit. We on that true tip hip hop music. Just let your head nod, hands up, lose it, top back, cruising, fill it with your crew shit. Where's my volume? Where's my volume? Where's my volume? Pumping out my boom, where's my volume? Where's my volume? Where's my volume? Don't forget my boom. Now this is Z-Boy sparking, boombox marching, supernova blasting, attack of the Martians. Peace set the tone, now it's lesson with the arching, bow and arrow marksman, target set marking, game in the crosshairs, no dropping it down. Mic sign showing the end, cause it's apocalypse now. Thinking you niggas is fixing it, but your lyrics ridiculous, ripping these flipping pitches indifferent and inconspicuous. Less than his passes, you fucking bastards. His name, he's at the passage, niggas they couldn't pass it. Faster and faster like dumping traffic. We attack with lethal flows, you haters just couldn't fathom.
paper or plastic, the game ratchet. And y'all fools just talking blasted, rash, records is ratchet. Get drastic, then we blast in. Usual suspects, that's lesson in P, just everlasting. We on that old school, 1, 2 shit. We on that true tip, hip hop music. Just let your hand nod, hands up, lose it. Top back, cruising, feel it with your crew shit. With my volume, with my volume, with my volume. Pumping out my boom, with my volume, with my volume, with my volume. Don't forget my boom.
I'm the best with talk shitting. Everything that I write is so cool. All of my fingers are frostbitten, saliva hawk spitting. Cooking heat, this the Dawn's kitchen. Look at me, I'm the top pitcher. I got wisdom. This instrumental got broken simple. My own potential with pencils is not coincidental. I spit the venom. Approach me, I'll give you multis. This shit is costly, dog. What we spit is sultry.
And if you salty, I can make it frosty. Half baked, I can roast you. I sip in a cup of coffee. Carry a big stick and walk softly. Use it to whip fuck niggas but claims that they are falsely. While cause the verses is hurting personally. Nurses are cursing me for flipping on cases mercilessly. This ain't no rhyming for nursery. Let me tell the story, game's over. Lost in the column, the game's closer. We on
Fight fans, what up?
What's going on?
This is Lesson, and of course my man Manny Z.
That's right.
We are DMVCS in the Clinch, DMV Combat Systems in the Clinch.
That's right.
Right back here, back at you. So thank you again for taking a little bit of your Sunday night to spend with us while we talk combat sports. Again, you can make sure you're following us on Twitter at DMVCS and on Instagram at DMVCS2, the number 2. And you can find us on Facebook. Just search DMVCS Radio and we'll come up right there. You'll see our logo right there on Facebook. We just finished up the news segment. And last night there was UFC Fight Night in London, which was available on UFC Fight Pass, which is actually doing very well actually right now. And being as though there's exclusive events like this UFC Fight Night in London, which happened 5 hours ahead of time and everything else. But I tell you what though, good event held last night at the O2 Arena in London, and it was Alexander the Mauler Gustafsson against Jimmy Manuwa in light heavyweight bout. Of course, Gustafsson coming off of a loss to John Jones, which was one of the Fight of the Year candidates last year in the UFC.
No doubt about that one.
And, of course, Gus, as they affectionately call him on the broadcast, took care of business last night.
I think he turned the poster boy into a poster.
The Mauler victorious over Manuwa with a TKO with punches a minute and 18 seconds into the second round. Now Gustafsson is ready for a title shot, and very impressive last night. Took control of the fight early and then ended it with a knee and then a series of punches afterwards on the ground. Ended it right there. But he called out John Jones in his post-fight interview last night. Said that John Jones, I want another shot. Give me another shot, and I think he's going to get it.
I mean, who else out there is going to get it but him?
Yeah. He but I mean, he really showed a lot in that last fight against John Jones.
Oh, no question about it. He took Jones down, and he stayed on the outside. He's just like, I'm not going for that fancy BS. It's like, you want to stand here and strike with me.
For 3.5 rounds, that fight was in question. It was plausible to think that the Mauler had that fight won. But Jones, after midway through the fourth round, took control
that he did.
With his elbows on the
those spinning back elbows.
Spinning back elbows.
He was hitting him with.
Fed to Johnny Bones Jones, spinning back elbows.
And the 4 consecutive head kicks that Alexander took in the face.
Exactly.
And he just stood there. I was just like, this kid's chin is made of granite.
Yeah, and then finally he started utilizing utilizing his leg kicks as well, and then finally got a takedown in the 5th round after being stuffed numerous times by the Mauler during the bout.
Yeah, you're talking about a guy that's bigger and stronger than him.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, Dana White said that Gustafsson is now the number 1 and will face the winner of Glover Teixeira and John Jones at UFC 172. And a rematch, I think a lot of people want to see that because we want to see this fight go another 5 spectacular rounds because he took Johnny Bones Jones somewhere where Rashad Evans, Quentin Jackson, Shogun Rua, Lyoto Machida, may I have to keep going, the number
Vitor
of Hall of
Belfort.
Famers. Yeah, the number of Hall of Famers that this guy dispatched within a number of
former
years.
World champions,
Former world champions as well in numerous promotions. I mean, that we're talking about the guys that he dispatched. And here comes along the Mauler, fairly unknown to the general MMA population. The hardcore MMA fans knew the Mauler and knew what he could do, but really gave us a spectacular fight.
Yeah, he showcased it from the world.
And for 3 rounds, really gave the champ all he can handle.
He gave him all he could say grace over.
Exactly. Now, so shout out to the Alexander Gustafsson. He will face the winner of that light heavyweight bout between Johnny Bones Jones and Glover Teixeira, which will be right here in Baltimore
Yeah, it will.
Yeah, we'll be right here in Baltimore.
First UFC event in Baltimore.
The co-main event, or the second headlining fight of the UFC Fight Night in London, between lightweight bout between Michael Johnson and Melvin Gillard. Of course,
assassin. Where did he go? Because I didn't see that last night. I just wanted to throw my remote to the screen.
We didn't. You know, he Michael Johnson, of course, victorious last night in a decision.
Trains with the Blackzilians.
Exactly. Decision 30-27, 30-27, 29-28. But it was like watching paint dry. It
really was.
To see this guy, to see Gillard run around the ring, to see him, you know, after all the stuff that he talked, and even Michael Johnson said this afterwards. He said, you know, it got, you know, I was kind of disappointed. He was very disappointed after the fight
because
last night.
Because he wouldn't engage him.
And he wouldn't engage him at all. And there's nothing more frustrating to a fighter, one like Michael Johnson, but even as a fan of the sport to watch, there's nothing more frustrating to see something like that, to see a guy not wanting to engage somebody in the cage, man.
Yeah, it's like a keyboard gangster on Facebook. You know, you're talking all this jazz, see me on the block, and then when you try to see them, they run.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like. I was just like, okay, you said all this in the weigh-ins, you said all this in the pre-fight, and then we're sitting there and we're like, and nothing happened.
Nothing. And then on that note, we're going to have to give him the gong. And we're gonna have to push the bullshit button on that as well.
Got to.
Yeah,
that was easy.
Yeah, but Michael, that was easy. And you know what? That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take this easy button and we're gonna exactly.
Yeah.
You know, but very disappointed by Michael Johnson, but he gets to win nonetheless.
Rightfully
night.
so. I mean, because he controlled the fight from the opening bell all the way into the end, and Melvin Gillard
with his scowl.
Yeah. I mean, he's just like one of those guys I see late night in DC. Like, let me not interrupt his evening.
Mm-hmm. And you know he's been impressive as of late as built up a bit of a streak, and he can you know, with a couple of more fights maybe he can find himself back in the conversation at lightweight. Hopefully, you can only hope.
Oh, I wouldn't imagine so, because it's not like we're going to have one of the Diaz brothers challenging for the title anytime soon. Because you know they equal ratings for some strange reason.
Right. Well, and in other fights last night on UFC Fight Night 37 in London, Brad Pickett defeating Neil Seery by unanimous decision, 30-27. 30-27, 29-28.
No, I know who Brad Pickett is. That's
yeah.
like this other guy. Even when they announced him, I was like, who? What camp is he from? Who's his sponsors?
Right.
I mean, when he came out to the cage, it's like he had these UFC Undisputed 3 creative fighter shorts on, like no sponsors.
Hey, well, I mean, everybody can't be a star, E.
I didn't say he had to be a star. I mean, I thought he would have something.
Yeah, well, you know, some of us are luckier than others, but you know, you take your fights when you can get them, and you get your paycheck.
I give him that, but
and you take your paycheck.
It was just like with the Cummings dude when I can beat DC. He was like, who? What is he? Does he work for catering?
Who is he? Like, who are you?
Right.
I mean, we knew who you are, but really, like, who are you?
Yeah, it's like you being in the booth and he just comes in. I can rap better than less. I'm like, son, who are you? Who's your label? I don't know who you are.
Indeed. And then the last fight, of course, on the main card, Gunnar Nelson defeating Omari Akhmedov. Omar Akhmedov with a guillotine choke.
That thing was deep too.
4:36 into the first round.
Yeah, it was deep too. Because I mean, when he had that thing and was pulling, I was like, either he's going to tap out or his neck is about to break in two.
Yeah, Gunnar Nelson. And Gunnar Nelson now even talks to a lot of people on Twitter and social media that he may pick up. That may be a candidate for of a submission of the year. You know,
I wouldn't doubt it because, like I said, I thought he almost broke his neck.
Yeah,
that was like something in the movie.
Exactly. Of course, you're listening to DMVCS in the Clinch. You're here, your boy Lesson, Manny Z. Follow us on Twitter at DMVCS and on Instagram at DMVCS2. And, of course, you can follow me on Twitter at It's Lesson. That's at ITS Lesson on Twitter. And, of course, Manny,
you can follow me on Twitter at etrain_MannyL.
There you go. To look at some of the bonuses from last night, Alexander Gustafsson, in fact, picked up $100,000 last night. So not only did he get an impressive performance and tap to fight the winner of the Johnny Bones Jones and Glover Teixeira fight, he picked up a fat check last night.
Yeah, $100K. Can't go wrong with that.
The Mauler and Jimmy Manua picked up Fight of the Night honors, which doesn't really say much.
Yeah, I'm still skeptical about that.
It doesn't really say much.
Because that was just an execution. That was no Fight of the Night.
Yeah, and then of course Gunnar Nelson and Gustafsson also won the Performance of the Night's honors. So that was $100,000 for the Mauler, a big check to pick up. When you get 2 awards in one night, to walk away with $100,000, that's never a bad day.
I believe what they say across the pond, mate. That's top living that he's doing there.
Top living.
That is top living what he's doing there, mate.
So And, of course, this thing was on UFC Fight Pass, and a lot of people signed up for the free trial, and they were able to watch the Tough China finale last week, and some of them are now even read up to it. And this is just, again, another brilliant ploy by the UFC to be able to get fight fans some exclusive material that you can't find on network television.
Yeah, because the next thing, going to be the next step is UFC Network.
Yeah. It's coming. The WWE has their own network, and the UFC is going to have one too.
Remember, we talked about that back in college. Like, yeah, Vince is so rich, he's probably going to have his own network one day. And sure enough, here we are decades later. What happened?
Exactly. And, you know, it's funny, man, because UFC Network would be absolutely awesome. Do you know how many things that you could see? Like, I watch on MASN and on Comcast Sportsnet. I see the Best of Pride fights that I see on there, man.
Of course, yeah, I love the Best of Pride.
Yeah, I watched, so, you know, you can show some of the best Pride fights, and they were actually showing some of the fights from the Shogun from the Grand Prix, from the Pride Grand Prix that they had.
Oh, he was kicking people to hell.
Yeah, exactly, when he won his first championship at light heavyweight in Pride, and it was just awesome. I mean, Pride is just like vintage MMA, you know, the non-octagon, the regular squared circle ring, the 8-minute rounds, and just, you know, the fact that it just almost seemed like anything went in Pride, man. Seriously.
Well, yeah, I mean, Bob Sapp came in there at 350 pounds and beat people religiously. Yeah, UFC Network would be nice, man. But the Fight Pass is going well. It's pretty much here to stay, and you can expect a lot more exclusive content for fight fans everywhere. But we're going to go ahead and take another break. When we come back on the other side of the break, we're going to preview UFC 171, Hendricks versus Lawler, and take a look at the card there to see what we can expect. We'll be right back. It's your boy Lesson, Manny Z right next to me. You're listening to DMVCS in the Clinch. Clinch.
On WLVS Radio, on ListenVisionLive.com. We'll be right back.
Like, niggas pop Molly, smoke weed, drink liquor, get high. Yeah, I just stay high off life, you know. Talk to him, cat. Yo, I gotta do it big, cause I can't live this life twice. Say what you want, I stay overdose on life. Yo, I gotta do it big, cause I can't live this life twice. Say what you want, I stay overdose on life. I stay overdose on life. Damn, what the hell I'm thinking? I'm sitting behind that wheel, and I can't stop drinking. The Patron in my system, it got me gone as fuck. Damn, I hope I don't hit them. And all I see is purple rain. The girl riding next to me, all she do is fucking complain. Always judging me on how I bottle my pain. If you seen the shit I've been through, then you would do the same. But it's all good. Shit, life is keeping me on the high. I do this shit all again as long as I don't die. Let me enjoy every moment to occupy my mind. You can judge if you want, I'm just having a good time. Turn up, like I'm on the come up. I'm fucking up my liver like I ain't even the owner. Riding around my city doing parking lot donuts. Living life like the fuck I wanna. You feel me? I gotta do it big, cause I can't live this life twice. Say what you want, I stay overdose on life. I stay overdose on life. I stay overdose on. Yo, I gotta do it big, cause I can't live this life twice. Say what you want, I stay overdose on life. Yo, I gotta do it big, like I stay overdosing.
Yo, I just had another dream. I was falling out the sky in the world with a stain. Some things aren't always what they seem, but the patterns keep forming, so I wonder what they mean. We all go through the motions, swinging in the breeze, thoughts rumble like the ocean. Life is narcotics and I'm feeling all the potion. Catch a hangover if you keep your emotions. It's a heavy dosage. Constantly be going overload. When you maybe not, probably falling overload. High is a tight off life, intoxicated off existence, persistence with that dynamite. Rehab the plans, that's that you speak not. Chronic living like I'm Dr. Dre, no detox. Getting drunk off the hating and I'm wasted off the love. That's why I'm sweating on the drama, why you wonder what it does.
So I gotta do it big, cause I can't live this life twice. Say what you want, I stay overdose on life.
We are back at DMVCS in the Clinch here on WLVS Radio on ListenVisionLive.com.
ListenVisionLive.com.
We are back on your screens and on your airwaves, of course, stateside Washington, D.C., and the studios at WLVS and worldwide on Listen Vision Live. Your boy Lesson, Manny Z here in the spaceship. Shout out to DJ Jordan K behind the control of the spaceship, spinning the wheels of steel. And make sure you're following us on Twitter That's at DMVCS on Twitter and at DMVCS2 on Instagram. You can follow me at It's Lesson on Twitter and my boy Manny Z at eTrainManny_L on Twitter as well. We follow back always.
And on Instagram, you can follow him at It's Lesson.
There you
and
go.
Me at It's Manny Z on Instagram.
There you go. Just don't send me any creepy DMs. I don't like those at all.
Yeah, I don't like that shit either. Especially people, check this. I don't want to check it out.
I don't want to check it out.
Yeah,
sorry.
just nah.
It works on everybody else. Don't spam me or I'll block you.
Yeah.
Just like Johnny Jones blocked Griffin.
I'd rather just expose them like Tyson Griffin did. Like, oh yeah, you work here. Okay, yeah, check this out, people.
Indeed. And then, of course, we just want to drop our email at godmvcs@gmail.com. You can drop us an email, any suggestions for the show, anything you want us to see, any news. We'll make sure to check that out. We'll email you back. UFC 171 next weekend, Manny. The vacant welterweight championship of the world for UFC. Johnny Hendricks and Robbie Lawler, these are the two guys left standing after George St. Pierre has now taken a sabbatical away from the sport.
He didn't take a sabbatical.
And they are the two guys.
He didn't take a sabbatical lesson. We're not going to get into that egregious statement that you just made.
He's taking a break. I mean, like what else am I supposed to say? He's taking a break.
I mean, was this before or after Johnny Hendricks beat the hell out of this kid?
After he beat the hell out of him, he still won. Yeah.
He didn't know where he was at.
Yeah.
Even in the post fight.
He's taking a break, man. But look, UFC hasn't suspended him. His contract isn't up. He's taking a break.
I understand the ramifications of what that, but we all know the truth.
He's taking a break.
Yeah, he's taking a break after the beating he took.
He's taking a break. So that's real, and we'll leave it at that. But back to Hendricks and Lawler. They're going to be fighting for the vacant welterweight championship, and these are two guys that have been on the rise in the welterweight division. Definitely, we would have liked to have seen a Johnny Hendricks GSP rematch to see justice actually served.
I couldn't watch it.
But of course, Johnny Hendricks has been on a roll. Won 7 out of his last.
Absolutely.
Has won 7 out of his last 8 fights. Has been spectacular, and really that last loss to George St. Pierre, where it was a split decision and everyone was kind of shocked. It was bogus, absolutely. And Robbie Lawler has won 4 out of his last 5 fights. He's 3-0 in the UFC. Picked up a big victory over a split decision over Rory McDonald in one of his fights there. But these are two guys. This should be a pretty exciting fight to watch. Of course, Johnny Hendricks is going to be the favorite because a lot of people favor him to win this fight. But Robbie Lawler is not a guy you want to sleep on.
I don't sleep on Robbie Lawler dating back to his early days in the UFC, but it's just Hendricks is the real deal. Like he has the wrestling and he has the stand-up and he has dynamite in his hands.
Yes.
My 2 favorite Johnny Hendricks knockouts are still Martin Kampman when he gave him.
Kampman.
Yes, he gave him the Holy Ghost.
Yeah. He gave
him the Holy Ghost and the John Fitch, 30-second destruction.
Yeah. Yeah, Johnny Hendricks has some power, man, in those hands.
Yes,
he has some power where he has serious
and
destruction and knockout power in those hands.
And you can't teach that. That's just God-given talent.
But if this fight stays on the feet, gotta
go to Hendricks.
Yeah, it's gonna go to him. But this is a guy that I think can rule and can have some great fights in the welterweight division coming up. Of course, we know GSP ruled that division for so many years. He's out of the picture now, and now this is really his time. This is Hendricks' time to shine right now.
Yeah, because if he gets the strap, I don't see nobody taking it from him.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't.
Now, the conversation will be who's going to be next to fight the winner of this fight. Now, that's going to be the next conversation.
That's going to be interesting because the welterweight division is stacked.
It is. You got to throw guys in there like Rory McDonald. He's going to want a title fight.
Yep.
And I know that he wants Robbie Lawler to win this fight because he wants a rematch of Robbie Lawler, something bad.
Yes,
and it would get even sweeter if it was for the belt.
Yes.
So the headlining bout against UFC 171 next week, Hendricks versus Lawler. Both guys relatively hot. It should be a very good bout. I would expect nothing better than a spectacular fight, whether it's 1 round or whether it's 5 rounds. You never know with guys like this that have knockout power. The co-main event for UFC 171, Carlos Condit versus Tyron Woodley. Now,
natural-born killer.
Exactly, the natural-born killer.
And T-Wood.
Yeah, and T-Wood, man. Condit has won 6 out of his last 8 fights, and Tyron Woodley 14-2 overall in the MMA. He made some headlines this week by calling Condit. He said he's a point collector.
This is the same guy that knocked out the Outlaw, sir.
Yeah.
He's far from a point collector.
He called him a point collector this week.
After what he embarrassed Nick Diaz, when Nick Diaz threw his hands down in front of him and said, what are we doing? We're throwing spinning shit, and he knocked him on his ass.
Yeah.
That's when I became a fan.
When that famous post-fight picture, and I'm sorry I don't have it tonight for you guys to see, but the post-fight picture of Nick at the post-fight press conference with one of his eyes swollen shut.
Exactly.
As it frequently is, he likes to stand up and exchange.
Let's stay inside the pocket. Come on. I can take it.
But Woodley called him a point collector.
And I'm pretty sure he's better get some sugar for his words because they have to make him soft this week because Carlos Condit's coming. He's going to make you eat him.
Yeah, but your take on the fight overall. I mean, you're expecting Condit to win this fight.
The reason why I picked Condit to win this fight because he's already been battle tested. See, T Wood, you fought all those Strikeforce guys, but when he ran across, Nate Marquardt, he got destroyed. And I saw that fight. That was one of the last championship fights in the Strikeforce promotion. And, he had a nice UFC debut with a knockout. But, once again, it's different when you're fighting guys in the top 10.
Yeah, and then whenever you add the spice of a little bit of trash talking before the fight, it makes it just a little bit more interesting. So that should be a good co-main event. I'd be interested to see that, too, leading up to the main event later on that night. Another bout on the card, Diego Sanchez versus Miles Jury.
Who?
Diego Sanchez versus Miles Jury.
No, I know who Diego Sanchez is.
Right.
The other guy, it threw me for a loop.
Well, let me tell you this. Diego, of course, last fight he lost was his loss to Gil Menendez, which was actually voted the UFC Fight of the Year last year.
I totally agree because they went to war. They went to war, and it was crazy. Now, you sit there and you saw the performances of both those guys in that fight. How Dana could ever tell Gil Melendez, you might want to look elsewhere to go fight somewhere, maybe Bellator give you, and Bellator gave Gil the contract, and then Dana said, oh, no, you don't. Bring your ass over here. Yeah.
I'm going to write you a check.
That Brinks truck full of money, and that was it.
Bring your ass back over here. But his last fight, of course, lost, but a spectacular fight with Gil Melendez. Miles Jury, you ask who he is? Well, I'll tell you what he is. Undefeated. 13-0 in MMA.
Really now?
Yeah. 13-0 in MMA, has finished 11 out of his 13 fights.
So this young man has some thunder.
He does. He has won, I believe, 7 of his fights by knockout and 4 of them by submission. So he's adept at both, not only in the stand-up game, but also he's also good on the ground and submitting his opponents. But he's got a test against him with Diego here, a guy who went to war in the Fight of the Year last year.
And Diego, it's like you have to do a lot to stop him.
Yeah, you do. And this guy's undefeated, spotless MMA record. Was on the Ultimate Fighter before. Showed well out there. Also was in King of the Cage as well.
Okay.
So he's been around for a while. But 13-0 in MMA.
That's very impressive.
But being on a
very impressive resume.
Yeah, being on a pay-per-view event against Diego Sanchez is definitely going to test him. Of course, other fights we have include Jake Shields versus Hector Lombard. Of course, Shields 3 wins in his last 4 fights. His last fight, he had a W against Damian Maia in a split decision.
Yeah, but that's against Damian Maia. Yeah. It's not really saying much.
Had a win against Damian Maia in a split decision. Lombard, of course, is a veteran MMA fighter. He's a 4th Dan black belt in judo, a black belt in Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Has finished 26 of his 33 career victories. His last fight was a win against Nate Marquardt.
Destroyed.
Punches in the first round.
Yes, destroyed.
Yeah, I mean, this is a guy. Shields is a guy that can that can it can give you a good bit of a good show. But he's facing a guy that, as you see by his credentials, very good with grappling, very good with Brazilian jiu-jitsu.
Exactly, yeah, and that's why I was worried about when you fought Jake Ellenberger, because Jake Ellenberger had the same kind of resume.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Jake Ellenberger hit Jake Shields so hard that he single-leg Herb Dean and still thought he was fighting.
Oh, man. But I always like to see grapplers get in the ring, man, because they always make the fight very interesting. If they don't get knocked out on the feet, then that fight becomes very interesting the longer the fight goes on.
Because it goes to the ground, it becomes a chess match.
Yeah.
Who's going to break first?
And on the last fight on the main card, of course, we have a replacement. Ovian St. Preux was meant to fight Thiago Silva in this UFC 171. Yeah. Now Thiago Silva is now in Broward County, wasn't Broward County Jail, and is now out on bond, is no longer with the UFC. He will be now facing Nikita Krylov. St. Preux 2-0 in the UFC. Last fight was a win against Cody Donovan, a KO with punches in the first round.
OSP, shout out to OSP.
Oh, yeah. And then Krylov replacing Thiago Silva. His last fight was a win versus Walt Harris, TKO, head cut, kick, and punches in the first round. But it's got to be hard when you want to face a guy, especially a guy Silva is going to be a fighter that you're going to prepare for, that you got to have a guy step into you, not just for the person who's preparing as a opponent replace, but the replacement as well. It's got to be hard.
Oh, yeah, it's very hard because it changes your whole training camp, because I'm pretty sure a majority of his camp was spent around training to fight Thiago Silva. And then you basically had to scrap all that because you're facing somebody that, he wasn't really on the radar at that time.
Yeah. So it should be a good card, and of course the prelims are always interesting to watch. So we'll keep an eye out on that. We'll make sure to have a full recap for UFC 171 next week for you, for Hendricks versus Lawler, and we'll be talking about the new welterweight champion, whoever that is, next week. next week. But definitely, and we also have some news. Pretty much as we're starting to close out the show here. The UFC. Well, first of all, we want to get to a little bit of boxing, and there was a big pay-per-view last night in the boxing world with Saul Canelo Alvarez facing Alfredo Angulo, and he won last night. Bounced back after a devastating loss, not a devastating loss, but a demoralizing.
It was a devastating loss.
I'll say it was a demoralizing loss against Floyd Mayweather because he didn't get knocked out, but he got
exposed.
He got punished over a period of 12 rounds.
He got exposed.
However, Canelo last night, seizing control, really just dominated the fight last night.
That he did.
Of course, showed his power last night against Angulo, but also very, very good defensively. Good head movement, upgrade from what we saw from Mayweather. Of course, Mayweather makes a lot of
I mean, that was probably the best thing for his career, that he had to do his homework. Yeah. And he did it, and it showed. Through
the first 4 rounds, you saw that Canelo was lining up for a knockout, and what we saw is that Angulo started to climb back with a little bit of offense from rounds 5 through 8. Round 8 especially was very, very contested with a lot of back and forth exchanges. That was the best round of the night, in my opinion. But then Canelo came back, ended the fight with a huge uppercut, and it was that uppercut that made the ref stop it. And, that's what everyone at home and sitting in the arena, it was a single uppercut which knocked him. It sort of stumbled him, and the ref just came in and stopped it. And then,
I think
of course,
he stopped it prematurely.
And then, but it was a beating over, I think it was the accumulation of blows that happened over that night. The beating that happened over a number of different rounds is the reason that the refs decided he is
I think that's probably what it was, too.
Yeah, so I think that's exactly what it was. It was the beating that he took over those 10 rounds, and then that hard that uppercut, which stunned him, made the ref say, you know what, I've seen enough. But the fans weren't happy about it. People talked about it on Twitter. They booed very heavily during the post-fight interviews with Canelo and Angulo. Angulo said he thought that he could have continued last night.
He couldn't.
But impressive win by Canelo and his junior middleweight bout last night against Angulo. He showed to me he's very impressive with his defense, and I think that if he can continue with that, maybe he can climb back up to get another title shot somewhere. But he has power, but his defense last night was impressing me.
Yeah, so I have to agree with that. I have to concur.
Yeah. Now, of course, our last new item of the evening is that the UFC is going to pull the double. They're pulling a double play.
Are they now?
Yeah, and I'm going to explain to you what I'm saying. They will be holding 2 events on May 31st. The first one, of course, that we all knew about would be Wanderlei Silva against Chael Sonnen.
Oh, jeez.
In Brazil. And now they're also announcing this week that they're going to be holding a UFC Fight Night in Berlin the very same day.
Oh, wow.
So the possibility of staging 2 UFC events on the same date, an idea company President Dana White has long hinted at, will become a reality this spring. The officials announced this week a UFC Fight Night event will take place in Berlin on May 31st. In February, first of all, it will be in February, the grudge match between Sonnen and Wanderlei was announced for that date in Brazil. Now, main event and broadcasting details haven't been announced yet for the Berlin card. It will mark the UFC's first trip to Germany since November 2010 and its first trip to the country's capital, which is interesting. So Gary Cook had to say this. He's the UFC's EMEA's Executive Vice President and Managing Director. He said, we're incredibly excited to announce this event, and it is fantastic news for many UFC fans throughout Germany and the rest of Europe. He said Germany is one of the leading world superpowers in sport, and to be able to host a UFC Fight Night to our passionate German fans will be an honor. Now, the Berlin event is a part of the UFC's European tour. We talked about earlier they'll be in Sweden and Turkey later on this year. A concept that they kicked off this year in 2014, and the international card is going to feature all local start times, which is smart, as opposed to starting the schedules with the North American times and audience in mind. I'm pretty sure this will probably be either a Fox Sports 1, more than likely a UFC Fight Pass event. But very ambitious of UFC to have 2 events on May 31st, 2 major events on May 31st, the Silva Sonnen event in Brazil, and then a UFC Fight Night in Berlin.
No doubt. That's why I said, big things popping for the UFC.
Yeah. And, you got to like that, though. And, the fact that this is the first trip that they've made to Berlin is very, very surprising to me. Of course, Germany has no problem hosting some of the world's biggest sporting events. They've hosted the Olympics before. They've hosted World Cups recently.
Yes, they have. Guten Tag, Germany.
Exactly. And the fight fans will be very amped to be able to hear and to see some UFC action in Europe, and they're making moves all over Europe. They've already been to London. They'll be to Sweden and Turkey later on this year, and in Berlin lining that up. Very big for the UFC to have two events there, and along with the Silva Sonnen event. Also, by the way, tonight on the UFC Fight Pass is going to be the exclusive premiere of the tough Brazil Silva versus Sonnen.
Oh yeah, that's the one that Vanderlei sucker punched Chael and knocked him on his ass. Yeah,
and this has been talk on the internet for most of this year about the confrontation between Vanderlei Silva and Chael Sonnen during the taping of this tough that's happening in Brazil. So I'm sure if it's any indication of what we have seen from Vanderlei and what he has said in the past, and Chael Sonnen and what he always says, and him always running his mouth, it should be interesting. So make sure if you have UFC Fight Pass that you check that out. The exclusive premiere of Tough Brazil, Silva versus Team Silva versus Team Sonnen, of course, tonight for the UFC. Yo, that's all our time today and all our time for this week. Fight fans, again, it's your boy Lesson and Manny Z. This is DMVCS and the Clinch. We want to thank all you guys for listening. Follow us on Twitter at DMVCS and at DMVCS on Instagram, DMVCS2 on Instagram. We'll be back next week. We're going to recap the UFC 171 Hendricks versus Lawler, have a big recap of that one, and have some more news for you as well. But that's all our time we got right now. You're listening, of course, DMVCS and the Clinch on WLVS Radio, ListenVisionLive.com every Sunday, 8 o'clock. You know where to find us. Until then, peace.
Peace.
This game, your time. Is it now? Insane. This game for the crown. Is it now? Stakes high, put it down. This game, your time, put it down. Let's go. Welcome to the game. Now here's your starting lineup. Brought to you by E-Dub, official with the sign up. Having 40 minutes pressure, Arkansas to Pine Bluff. Little Rocks with games bang until they fucking time's up. Fire like it's pre-game pyro. Ready off this hype and I'm high off hydro. Once the clock starts, then it's on to the minute. Ballin' like LeBron off the palm till I'm finished in it. Until the last second is spent. And I'ma play the point till you niggas forfeit or quit or offer to split. Critics talking shit like it's hands up and man down. I'm at the 50 with chin strapped to stand ground. Game time on my pulse racing like stock cars. 200 laps and I'm checking flag like a rock star. And give a damn what your thoughts are. W's counting them out, checking the bank like Bart Star. Are you in to win or just another pawn? I'ma keep it breaking hard till the break of dawn. Till the break is on. Count slow, set high till the break is on. Are you in to win or just another pawn? I'ma keep it cranking hard till the break is on. Till the break is on. Count slow, set high till the break is on. You hear the clap, get a round of applause. Fools shouting out their name to hear the sound of their cars. You ain't making any calls on the yard. The only calls you had is to press pause and make a call to your squad. I ain't never been at grips with the law. The only grip that I had is my 5 fingers, that's my fist to your jaw. Me and Dale's take a trip from the brick to the shore. Flip the switch, flip the sticks, I get lifted for sure. Only want what we came for. Rolling through PG with Dale for the main course. So we take DC in the loop with the same force. Find us live at the barbecue like we main source and same boss. I'm talking riches in the millions. Stack it to the ceiling in the office, right in our own building. Stakes high, what's the call? Mission critical condition. The myth niggas with napalm. Are you in to win or just another pawn? I'ma keep it cranking hard till the break is on. Till the break is on. Count slow, stakes high till the break is on. Are you in to win or just another pawn? I'ma keep it cranking hard till the